Hello friends, this is Ifa. Welcome to my March bullet journal setup. In this video, I'm going to share all of the spreads that I made for my March bullet journal, and I might not talk too much on this video because I do have a very high fever and my voice is very down and it's very difficult to talk right now, and that's why this video is going up very late, but I will try my best to explain what I am doing here, so let's get started. The theme that I'm going for this month is basically a sushi theme, and in the Japanese cuisine, I like sushi a lot. That's why I chose this theme, because sushi is one of my favorite from the Japanese dishes. I wanted to go for this theme for quite a long time, but I never made one, and this is a very common theme, I know, but this is my first time that I'm making a sushi theme. So let's talk about the first page that I made is my cover page, and for my cover page I'm going to go with a very art heavy illustration. I'll be using a lot of colors here, and all the supplies that I'm going to use here is going to be listed in the description below. When I make any spreads or any illustration, I always go from the top element, and here as you can see from the sketches that the top element is the titles. So I'm going to go first with the title here, and for the title I wanted to go with a font that is similar to the calligraphic fonts of Japanese letters, so that's why I really wanted to go with this font. I found it on the internet, which was free, and I used it in my Patreon journal kit as well. So I had a draft, I kind of replicated with Tombow Furunosuke soft tip brush pen. I'm using soft tip here because it's pretty flowy brush pen and the nib is not that stiff, so it's basically very easy to do these large titles, even though I kind of messed up the M to fix it out, but I stopped right there because it will not look good if I do too much. For the illustration down below the title, I wanted to use a brown fine liner, and here I've chosen the sepia color of Unipin pen, which is in size 05, which is a little bit bold, and I wanted to use this pen for the outlines of every illustrations. In the illustration, my plan was to go with a wooden dish, and in the top there will be a different kind of sushi like nigiri, maki. Here I'm drawing another bowl, which is a very flat bowl. On top I am adding gunkan maki and onigiri. In the front I added chopstick and resting on the holder, and also a bowl of soy sauce. That's the outlines, and I'm going to go with a lot of colors because sushi is very colorful if you want to make it like that way. So I'm going to use a bunch of warm colors here, and basically I have chosen a lot of Tombow brush pens and some Crayola super tip markers to color the whole illustrations on this setup. So all the colors and names will be down in the description below, but I don't know the color names of the Crayola super tips, so I am using the Crayola super tips set, which has 100 markers on it. And now here for the colorings, I am going to go with the shrimp first, and for the shrimp I have chosen this very light warm pink color, and I tried to make the shades of the prawn with the same color by overlaying the colors on the top, and I did a very good job to make these shades. And for the tail I'm using this little bit darker reddish kind of tone. For the salmon here, I'm just coloring the piece. I kind of shaded it like an oval so that the salmon piece is looking a bit oval on the top of rice. I hope that makes sense. I know I'm talking too much even though my voice is not okay. Here I also didn't fill a bit of spaces in some points to create the white lines of salmon fish meats, and to make it look more 3D I used a little darker colors in the top. I used the same shade to create a shadow around the salmon fish and in salmon piece and also in the middle. For the nori, which is basically a seaweed sheet, I didn't want it to go with a very black color because I know that nori doesn't look too black, so I chose a bunch of greens to create some shadows on the noris and also used blacks to give the depth or the shadows on the nori. I've kind of colored it out with some circular motions so that I can give it a little bit of texture, and I gradually build up the color. And here I used the darkest green color that I chose here from the Crayola Super Tip marker, and then in between that I have used a Tombow dual brush pen, and then in the sides of the nori or the sushi I used a black pen to give the ultimate depth. I hope that makes sense, and I believe I enjoyed making this theme a lot because I really wanted to go with a sushi theme at some point, even though it's very common and people are making it every month and there's no reason to make it. It's one of the easy and fun illustrations to make. So finally I made it and I'm very happy. Even though I didn't wanted to make this theme in March, I had plans for this theme later on, but the theme that I chose for March is not going to go with March but basically on April, so I should delay the theme for April. And yeah, that's why I just picked this universal theme which we can make in any season. So that's it. Here in the bottom I knew that after outlining everything it does look a little bit empty, so that's why I'm using this very light yellow color, give it a wavy line. Besides the sushis, I also added a bit of wasabi, and I really didn't know that how to draw on wasabi, but I just imagined what I ate and just added it here. For the udon table, I used this light brown color from Crayola Super Tips and Tombow dual brush pen to use the shades or the udon textures or the fibers. So I think I'm pretty happy with how the thing was turning out, even though the plates that I made, I was very confused how to color them out, so I just go with the lightest gray shade that I have to give it a bit of texture. Also for the rices of the sushi, I also give some shadows with that same gray color. For the gunkan maki, which is basically sushi with some raw, and I wanted to go with some orange kind of color for the row, but basically that might look too much orangey in this illustration, so I've gone with this red color and I think it looks much more popped up. After coloring out everything, I am going to go with my Sakura Jelly Roll white gel pen to create some highlights and some details on it. For the shadows, I've gone with the gray Tombow dual brush pen and the sand color that I use for the oud. After finishing out, I also felt like I should add some details, so I am just using a very easy technique to give the elements a bit of highlights with the web line around the illustration. I'm not going to go with the whole illustration, but a bit of spaces so that it kind of pop up more than the flat illustration. I also added a bit of sparkles and dots to create more artistic vibes on this illustration. So that's it for this cover page. I'm not going to use any washi tapes or any sort of stickers here, and that's the cover page. Besides my cover page, I really didn't want to go with any practical pages, so I thought that I should go with something very simple. Here I am making a box, and basically I was very inspired from the Japanese menus, so I created this. It ends with the squares. I hope that it makes sense. And here I've added two sections, which is priorities and top tasks, which is basically the master to-do list. So that's the simple spread. Later I will add a washi tape to create a bit a decoration to it, and that's it. That's the cover page. And the next thing that I'm going to make is my monthly calendar page. For the calendars, I am going to go with the same kind of box that I made here, and I'm going to go with 6x6 spaces for each day. Here we have 31 days and the day starts with Saturday, so I'll be making 5 rows. But as you can see, I did a mistake and I skipped a row. So after making the whole layout, I kind of realized that I made this mistake and I cannot use any white acrylic paint or gel pen to cover up this huge amount of space. So that's why I'm going to use the leftover pages that I made for the yearly setups Dutch doors, and I'm going to cover the lines with that, and then I'm going to create the lines on the top. As you can see, I have made 4 boxes besides the calendar page, which is basically my weekly planner. If you're following me for a while, you know that I like to have a weekly planner besides my calendar page. So here the 4 boxes are just a mistake. There will be 5 boxes for 5 rows, and that indicates the 5 weeks of the month. I use this for a weekly task. Like if I'm making any video that ends up to make for quite a long time, like 2 weeks or so, I always can adjust the tasks according to the week here. So you can use this for your projects which kind of go for a long time, like couple of weeks or so. So here's the plan that I do is to write the major tasks from that project, and in the days I kind of write the exact thing that I'm going to do on that day. So that's the plan, and I always like to color code the boxes so that I don't mess up with the wigs. In the journaling kit, I have included similar illustrations for you to use, and if you want them, you can check out my Patreon page. I've created all of the illustrations that I made here as a digital version for my patrons who are the member of Patreon page, and they got this whole journaling kit. There I've included a sticker sheet which you can adjust the sizes according to your need. I illustrate my illustrations on a larger space, which is A4 size space, so that if you want a very large illustration, you can get the resolutions of it. And if you want a smaller options, you can adjust the sizes from the PDF or from the JPEG that I have included here in the journaling kit. And also, if you're interested to get 2 or 4 sticker sheets, you can also get them in the PDFs. In the top, I'm making the headers of the calendar, and I also added a title or a header on the weekly planner, as weekly planner is going to be a very large title and the space was very small. That's why I have adjusted that space with tasks. As the calendar has a few days off, so and I had a little bit of space there, so I'm going to illustrate a bit here with this deco kind of illustrations. And here I'm adding a nigiri, a gunkan, and maki to cover this space. So there is a lot of talking if I talk about pattern printables, but I would like to tell you there are 5 tiers. The first one is the hang tier, where you can get the printable calendar, which you can also use in your digital bullet journal or planner. In that tier, you will get all the access of my pattern only content. And the second one is Oswald, which is basically the printable sticker club, where you can get printable stickers. You can use them digitally because I add PNG file which has transparent background of it, and then you also get some wallpapers to use on your tablet, iPad, or your phone, and all the reverse from the previous tire. And the next one is Little Oli, which is basically a Happy Meal tire or club where you can get all the digital reverse from Oswald, and also you're getting 2 sticker sheets from my shop mailed to your door. And the fourth tier is basically Pearl, where you can get more digital stuffs, not any physical Happy Meal. And there you'll get all the things like sticker sheet and calendars or wallpapers from the previous tires, also all the behind the scenes contents, as well as a cover page, which is basically a digital version of my cover page, and then you're getting 4 pages journaling kit. Fifth tire is basically another Happy Meal where you're getting the same exact Happy Meal from Little Oli and also the digital tire from Pearl. So basically, if you want to get the whole collection, you need to enroll in Pearl or Little Oli tire. So that's the whole description. Also, we have Patreon only Discord server. So let's talk about the next spread, which I'm going to make is my habit tracker. Basically, for habit tracker, I'm going to go with a layout idea which I kind of discovered back in July 2020. I kind of make this layout, and some people find this layout a little difficult, but if you are using your bullet journal every day, it's pretty easy to track out. But if you don't, you can just add numbers in one tracker and you can continue the rest with that one tracker, I believe. But I like the layout because of the spaces where I can include a lot of illustrations, as you can see. For the header, I am going to go with the same font style but little bigger, and for the illustrations I am going to go with 3 illustrations here. One is this sushi burger, which I never ate, but I have seen somewhere, so I was a little inspired and I made this. And then I have avocado maki, which is my favorite. And then I'm making these illustrations, which is inspired from a food artist. I have found that on Pinterest. This is basically onigiri with prawn in the top, and I tried my best to color the nori wrap on the top, so I hope that looks like that. So the next spread that I'm going to make besides my habit tracker is basically the thoughts or brain dump page, where I write all the plannings or all the thoughts of planning or anything in one space. And this is the last spread because while I'm making the whole setup, I was very sick and I had fever 3 times back to back in 4 months, and it's literally making me very sick. Every time I got sick, it's kind of making me very weak, and I sort of feel like the more days are going and the more I want to work, but I cannot. And this is happening since September last week, and I'm really upset about it, even though I tried my best in last year, but this year my body is not working pretty well. I'm trying my best to get up and do stuff, but it's literally not working. And it's not like a creative blog, but my body and my health is not that good, so definitely it takes a lot of time for me to sit on my table and do and make videos, so it's kind of like pushing me back to create consistently. So here in this spread, I forgot to record the illustration. I am going to show you in another notebook. If you want, you can make this illustration easily, and this is a very easy illustration. As you can see, I'm not going to use any pencil marks, so I am just making this sashimi, and basically here I am going for the salmon sashimi. So that's it for this whole video. I know this voiceover sounds pretty weird because my voice is already very weird and I cannot talk properly. I'm coughing a lot, and definitely it takes a lot of time to think what I want to talk about, but I have to go with my instant thoughts because I really cannot talk too much, even though I know this voiceover is huge, and when I'm going to edit it, it's going to be a very rough edit. So that's it for this whole video. I hope you enjoyed this video because it's definitely took me a lot of effort to do so, and that's it. I hope I will see you in my next video. So be healthy, stay safe, and be happy. Bye guys.